Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I am Stylosa, and when is the Overwatch Winter Wonderland event going to start? Well, I'll give you the details, ladies and gentlemen, because the event in 2016 started on the 13th of December. 2017, it started on the 12th. 2018, it started on the 11th of December. So this year, because it's usually Tuesday when they update the game, it will happen on the 10th of December. That is a massive, like, I'd bet my actual golden Reinhardt hammer on that being the case. I'd be very surprised if this comes out next week. It's probably going to be the week after that, on the 10th. That's most likely when this is going to happen, because remember, you can't really change the date of Winter Wonderland around too much. It has to happen during Christmas, and they kind of want the event to finish when New Year begins, because then we're starting to go into Lunar New Year and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's going to be the 10th of December. Now, the next thing is, where the hell is the PTR patch? Now, we were expecting this to go live this week, or rather we were hoping. I was really hoping it would go live this week, because the game isn't really playable for me on the live servers right now, because I've been playing so much of the PTR. So when I play on live, it's weird, the game's different, it's just not great. So when is this going to launch? Hopefully this happens next Tuesday, and if it doesn't, I'm going to be kind of miffed. So the date for that we'd be looking at would be the 3rd of December. Now hopefully that's what happens. Potentially it could go live on the Thursday that week. We don't really know. Or there could be more changes on the PTR on the Thursday. But typically, when the devs update the PTR like they have with the current barrier changes and the buffs and nerfs to the heroes, you don't really see another major balance kind of patch in the same PTR cycle. They generally do it as like, this is the PTR, it's on the PTR for a few weeks, and then it goes to live, okay? That's probably what's going to happen with that. Okay, let's move on to some other topics we might have missed throughout the week of Overwatch, ladies and gentlemen, because there's some spicy topics out there. Oh yeah. So let's talk Overwatch League. There has been a ton of beautiful spice, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. So Overwatch League, the next season, is the big geolocation season. This is where it goes all over the globe and the teams travel around all over the place. There's a load of homestands happening in a ton of different countries. There's 2 happening in the UK, 2 of the Spitfire ones. There's 1 in London, there's 1 in Birmingham, so it's beautiful. It's got reach across the country. It's going to be awesome. But they're happening all over the world, and it's going to be jazzy. The thing is, though, Overwatch League, it's 2 months away, and there's been a lot of things happening behind the scenes. You've got players changing teams, you've got bits of drama, and let's kind of cover it in this video, because I've no doubt a lot of you guys have probably seen the Chipsa news, and we'll get onto that in a second. But also, there's a little bit more kind of spice to begin with, and this is Fissure. So Fissure used to be a main tank for London Spitfire, and then he moved to Gladiators, and then famously didn't play in the LA Gladiator match against Spitfire in the playoffs for Season 1, and then he wanted to leave. He went to Seoul Dynasty for the next season, and then he just left halfway through the season and said, look, I'm leaving, whatever, I'm retired. The thing is, though, when he did that, he kind of leaked that there was 222. He straight up went onto his stream and went, hey, yeah, 222's a thing. Haha, there you go, there's the leaks. Now, this was true because all the Overwatch League teams were told at that time that 222 was going to be a thing, because of course they needed to know for meta decisions and to help with team building and all of that stuff. You know, it was such a big change to the game, you couldn't just have the teams oblivious and then you just walk in and go, by the way guys, it's 222, so deal with it. The thing is, though, he's back. So Fissure is back, and he's going to play, wait for it, for the Vancourver Titans. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, not only is Fissure coming back to Overwatch League and playing for Vancourver, Vancourver have got rid of Bumper. Now, Bumper was an amazingly good tank, but very harshly, Bumper was seen as a bad tank publicly because it was his great team that was keeping him alive and letting him rack up some incredible stats. Now, Bumper had insane stats. Like, he's a really good tank player. Anyway, Vancourver have got rid of him. I don't expect this player to remain a free agent for very long. He's probably going to get picked up by somebody. But yeah, Fissure's gone in. Now, the drama with Fissure is because he leaked 222. That goes against Overwatch League rules. He just can't do that. So he has been fined. He's been fined $3,000, which he's since paid, or I believe he paid this straight away when it happened and all this stuff. That's great. But he has also come out and said he's going to donate a further $7,000 just to make up for it. So at least he's trying, right? So it's cool. It's nice to see Fissure back because he's one of these personalities it's cool to see in the league. Because if I'm honest, Overwatch League sometimes can suffer from kind of no-name players, and it's not great. Like, it's ideal if you get a player which is very good at the game and has a very good personality. So then you get cool after game interviews. Players like Fusions, like he's a great example of this. He's very eloquent. He's great at talking. It's awesome when he gets interviewed. You can see the hype he's coming across. It's just great. And of course, he's a fantastic player. There's a bunch of players like this. Look at players that have come and gone. I mean, XQC, I guess, could be the ultimate example. But look at Seagull. Came into the league, great personality, then leaves. The league suffers for it, right? Defran, another example, comes in. It's awesome to watch him. And it leaves. The league suffers from it. So seeing Fissure come back, I do like that. So Philedalphia Fusion announced that they have signed Chipsa. Now, initially, I'm going to be totally honest, when I seen this pop up, I was like, what? That can't be real. Why would that be a thing? But then when you think about it, it actually does make quite a bit of sense because Chipsa, yes, I know he's a streamer. Yes, he's a very good Doomfist, and for all intents and purposes, basically is a Doomfist one trick. He has played other heroes in the past. He used to actually play on a pro team called the Chavs way back in the day, very early Overwatch, so he's got a bit of experience there. But he's been consistently a extremely high skill cap ladder player. Now, the problem is, will a ladder player translate into a very good Overwatch League player? Now, there is one awesome example of this. You guys have probably know this guy. His name's Jonak. He came from the ladder. He had no prior team experience and just went straight into Overwatch League on NYXL and was an absolute god on Zen. Now, what he did was one-trick Zen, and so he was an extremely good player. You imagine if you go into a Doomfist meta and you've got somebody who has played Doomfist countless hours and is an extremely high skill one trick on that hero. They could completely dominate, and I mean actually dominate. It could be insane. But this is where it starts to get a little bit funky. So a couple of prominent figures in the Overwatch competitive scene, especially on Reddit, came out and said, look, this makes a mockery of the path to pro. Now, the path to pro is supposed to be Blizzard's way of professional players earning the skills, playing together in teams, earning prize money, and then going forward into Overwatch League. So I think what Blizzard expected to happen is Overwatch League teams would look down at the contenders level teams and go, hey, this is where we will find the best players. But that's not necessarily always the case. And the other issue is the path to pro. Yes, it's fine. Yes, it's great. You've got a lot of players who are training up. They're in team environments. Some of them will be salaried. Some of them won't. Some of them will just be doing it because they think this is the way to get to the Overwatch League, and it is the way, according to Blizzard. And then you get people like Chipsa. Now, I think the big issue with Chipsa is he has been streaming all of this time. There are a bunch of other players out there who are extremely good players who have not been picked up because they've been grinding away in the path to pro in contenders. The difference here is, and this is where it's absolutely crucial, that when you look at other people's opinions on this, it kind of doesn't matter because the only opinion that matters is the opinion of the Overwatch team looking to buy the player. Now, when you go out to buy a player, you've got a gap in your roster and you're like, okay, we need to fill this because we think this will benefit the team. Now, Philly have obviously looked at this and gone, you know what? We want somebody who is a Doomfist player, just a complete one-trick Doomfist player. So what they've done is they've got Chipsa. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more confusing because there are players like Leaf, an extremely good Doomfist player, and a couple of other players out there as well that could play Doomfist to a high level. But Philly have gone for Chipsa. Why is this a problem? Now, it's not a problem for me. In fact, it's just like, whatever. Chipsa's got a chance. He's taken the chance. Now, it's because a lot of people are saying Chipsa's brother, who is Christopher, who is one of the coaches of Philly and also was one of the coaches for the Seven Lions, effectively the head coach, it's his brother. So people are saying, oh, he's just picked him because he's brother. Now, Tucker came out, who is the GM, basically the boss of Philedalphia Fusion, and said, no, this isn't the case at all, and I can guarantee that. So at that point, I'm reading it, I'm like, hey, it's fine, whatever. For me, I don't necessarily care anyway, because it's like, hey, it's another British person in the Overwatch League. But if you take away everything, you strip back all of the stuff that's been going on, and you look at this purely from a pickup perspective, Philadelphia have decided to pick up Chipsa because they wanted an English-speaking Doomfist player that's probably got a little bit of a marketing pull, and that's it. And that's what they've done. That's what it looks like to me as somebody who has been involved a little bit behind the scenes of the Overwatch League, and I'm like, yeah, you know, and especially contenders. I look at it that way. Now, the other way is you've got all of these players who are grinding away like mad with hardly any prize money from Blizzard, hardly any money from their teams in contenders, and they are not making it through to Overwatch League. Instead, somebody who has just been streaming, which is way more lucrative than going down the path to pro or anything like that, has been making a ton of money streaming and then gets picked up for Overwatch League. So the problem here is, what are the teams looking at? Are they prioritizing player reach? So this person has got fantastically good community. good viewing figures, and is also good at the game, let's take them, compared to this is a no-named player who is extremely good, but apart from that, we don't know anything about this person, and we also don't think we can sell sponsors as a result of that. Now, this is where it gets really muddy, and again, I'll just say, this is my get-out clause to this. It doesn't really affect us. Overwatch League teams can do what they like. You could basically make a complete meme team if you wanted to. I mean, hell, somebody could give me an Overwatch League contract. Well, all right, then I'll play in a team. I'd be terrible, right? You could do that. It doesn't really matter. If teams and franchise owners have paid for the slot, they can basically do what they like. Now, Path to Pro does need looking at, because one of the issues I've got with it is when you play Overwatch, and if you're like, and you've got to remember, guys, Path to Pro and open division teams and going into contenders, you're going to want to be at the very highest end of the ladder before you even entertain this. You can't be like, oh yeah, I'm a Masters level tank, or I'm a low GM support. That's not good enough. You need to be like 4.4k plus consistently. If you are, then you should have a way of going and becoming a pro player, because at least at that point you understand your hero, the meta, the way the game plays enough to be plugged into that system. Now here's the thing, how do you do that in Overwatch? There's no system in the game that is like, hey, now you've graduated to like the elite division and then you can sort of push forward and start being picked up by open division teams or contenders teams. There's none of that goes on. Normally what happens for contenders players is contenders teams, because I know a lot of this because of my Hurricane affiliation, they will look at other contenders teams. You'll look at their players and think, will those players work in our team? Can we entice them over? Beyond that, you'll just look at the ladder. You'll literally look at the best players on the ladder that normally your players are aware of, because remember, your players would be playing on the ladder as well, and they'd be high, 4.4k plus players. 4.5k probably in most cases, and they would be aware of these people. So if you did need a Doomfist player, they would say, hey, there's this guy on the ladder, he's pretty good, let's give him a go. You'd put that player into trials, you'd throw them through scrims, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. That's where players come from, and I think there should be a better system. So I think what Blizzard need to do is completely redesign this. What I would do, if I was in charge of it, is I'd have the ladder how it is now, but when you get to an elite level, so you are like top 100 ranked in your category, or even combined, or whatever you want it to be, you then have the option to go and put your name forward to a pool of players that could then possibly build open division teams, or then maybe contender teams have access to them, so then they can start working on their sort of career as a professional player. Because one thing that's always been an issue with esports is you do not have there isn't the framework, the foundation. Generally, you get a player who has just been sort of, the way I always explain this, it's like football. So I played a lot of football back in the day, and it would be like noticing somebody playing football at the local park going, oh my god, this guy's amazing, let's just put him straight into the first team of Man United and that's it, because he'll be fine. Of course that player won't be fine, because they won't know how to play with coaches, how to train. They just won't have none of that knowledge, and that's what's happening with esports right now, and especially with Overwatch. Players are just getting pulled off the ladder, which is basically the playground, going, oh yeah, get this guy, let's throw him into a team, and it doesn't work. But I reckon there are cases where these players would be phenomenal players if they had the framework to develop through, and this is something I hope over time will become better. So yeah, this Overwatch League drama and this stuff with Chipsa, yeah, I can get that it's frustrating if you are one of those players that does grind away and you're like, why is this guy being picked? But at the end of the day, it just comes down to what the team wanted, and they clearly wanted him for a number of reasons. And that's literally it, ladies and gentlemen. So hats off to him. Can't wait to see him in the league. Kind of goes way back to my earlier point of like Fissure, Siegel, Defran, those type of personalities. They will spice up the league, and it will be good for us as viewers. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You imagine if, like, given the sort of beef with Philly and Dallas, you imagine if Chipsa plays against Philly and destroys Philly and then does a post-game interview. That would be crazy. But then imagine it the other way around. Dallas annihilate Philly, Chipsa gets owned, and then they're like, well, he's so bad. So this is cool, right? It's a storyline. All right, guys, I wanted to just throw this out there anyway. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving as well to all the American viewers out there. I love you, ladies and gentlemen. I love everybody. Remember, if you do enjoy the video, guys, then like the video. Remember, you can subscribe to the channel as well. Click the bell so you get alerted to when all the videos go live. And I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. Toodaloo.